FM94, The Dark, it is that time again. It's time to get to know a band. We play here on The Dark. And on the phone tonight, I am talking with Audie from the band Modern Mimes. And, of course, Modern Mimes is not a stranger to these airwaves. Their current song, Stare, which actually is in the top 40 on the secondary rock radio charts. And I thought we'd bring in Audie and Modern Mimes tonight and find out a little bit more about this band. And first of all, Audie, thanks so much for joining me on The Dark. How are you doing tonight?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. And yourself?
I'm doing pretty good now. I'm up here in Minnesota where it's kind of chilly. It's under basically normally at this time of year it's in the 40s and that. We've been barely able to get out of like 30 degrees. Where are you calling from tonight?
Ooh, that's nice. I actually miss the cooler weather because I'm living in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and it's still pretty damn hot over here.
Well, I tell you what, I think people up here would enjoy a little bit of that heat, but I can understand the other side of it too if you're always in the heat too. So, hey, let's get to know about this band a little bit, Modern Mimes, Audie. How did this band all come about?
Well, Ernesto and I actually are married, so before the band came along, we were kind of in separate projects before that. He was touring with another band, and I was doing kind of like my solo stuff, and occasionally playing with the band as well. And one day he kind of asked me if I wanted to play a couple songs with him. He was doing some sobriety stuff in a sobriety event, and I said, sure, let's jam on some stuff, and then it just kind of took off from there. It started off kind of acoustically, and then we really wanted to put in some electronic things and different sounds and just create our own kind of genre, so to speak.
Well, let's talk about it. First of all, obviously being a married couple, what's that like getting a chance to work together and then work on stage too if you do some touring in that?
Oh yeah, we occasionally want to rip each other's heads off.
Okay, so it's typical marriage then, correct?
Oh yeah, it's very typical. Yeah, there's nothing too out of the ordinary about it. But I think in some strange way the dynamic kind of works, and the chemistry is obviously very apparent there. And I think we kind of work that out on stage too.
Let's talk about the backgrounds for both of you. First of all, Audie, where did you grow up as a kid, and what kind of were your music influences coming into this band now?
All right, so I was born in New Jersey, actually, in Richfield Park, Seahawks, New Jersey, then raised in Richfield Park. And then I later moved here when I was about 10 years old, and I was heavily influenced by a lot of alternative music. I remember one of the first ones that kind of really caught my attention was Alanis Morissette, and my parents were huge on disco. They actually met in a discotheque, so there's a little bit of that in there too. Some pop music, some disco, and my brother was heavily into hip hop and R&B. So I'm kind of all over the place with my influences.
How about for Ernesto? Where was his background, I guess, in that?
Oh, Ernesto likes to think he's just like all metal,
Okay.
that he bleeds metal, But yeah, he's definitely expanded his horizons since, especially working with me. I feel like he's kind of had no choice but to kind of be a little more open-minded since I have so many different influences. But yeah, he's definitely a big metalhead, and listening to Pantera, and I can't even think of all the bands he listens to. But yeah, I know that's a big influence for him. Pantera was one of them. Deftones, Typo Negative, of course.
Let's talk about the band history, as we mentioned, kind of how it came about. But really, you've kind of started to break on the scene here in the last maybe couple of years. But it was back in early 2017, if I remember doing some reading, that you had your debut album, Wake Up. Talk about that experience of putting out an album and then kind of where you've taken off today.
Yeah, so Wake Up came about we were writing it mostly, I guess, all the way from 2015, I want to say, is probably around where we started. So we kind of did things kind of backwards. We kind of came out with the album first before we actually started really getting out there and playing live shows. But yeah, just everything that I felt like I really needed to say, I kind of put it in that, and yeah, I remember I was feeling like dark forces were trying to get at me at this particular period of my time in my life, and yeah, so I kind of like put it all in that, and I was actually in a car accident right before the release of that album. And funny enough, the album artwork, there was a mistake on it, and they, like, the artist, the person that did the artwork, totally forgot to put number 7 on there. So it's kind of like the ghost track. So we laugh about it now because I had to fight really hard. I had to fight Ernesto to have that song on the album. So it's like this funny little inside joke now. But
Nice.
yeah, that was kind of an interesting time, and I was just happy to be alive because I could have easily died in that car accident, and
Wow.
and able to release that music. But after that, it's kind of like a weird kind of spiritual thing that happened too, because I had this like memorial card inside of my purse because a great uncle of mine had just passed away maybe like a month or two before, and when my car was towed to the house, somehow it miraculously got out of the car and was just right there on the seat of the car. So it was just kind of like a sign to me in a way that I'm in the right place, and that this message is going to carry on.
Wow.
Keep going forward.
Yeah, that's some pretty heavy stuff there. And, obviously, I've talked to a lot of artists and that, and a lot of their music comes from past experiences. So I would assume some of the music that you have currently on these airwaves, and for that matter, maybe thinking about, have past experiences that you've had in your life.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And everything that I write about, it has a lot to do with past experiences and dreams and I don't know, astral projections, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
out-of-body experiences, all sorts of crazy things. Or not, maybe they're not so crazy, but, that's just how I make myself feel better about it.
We're talking,
so that people don't actually think I'm insane.
Well, I don't think you're insane, Adi. We're talking with Adi from Modern Mimes, and of course we spin Modern Mimes on these airwaves. Let's get a little bit more about the songs that I've kind of heard so far on our airwaves. And the song actually we actually played Stare earlier this year, and then the next song came out was Mind Lies. But now you've come back with Stare again to kind of really put a big push on that. Give us what's the reasoning for that, I guess, or was I lucky enough to get Stare before it really was supposed to come out, or how did that all break out?
Yeah, so we actually signed with a small independent label, Curtain Call Records,
Yeah.
and they really, really loved the song, and they wanted to give it an extra push, and so yeah, we did a re-release of that, and did kind of a shorter, like, radio edit of it. So that's what you hear right now. But yeah, we definitely, the way that song came together is unlike any other song that we've done previously, because we had a collaborator on that, Chris Stanley, who actually wrote that song, most of that song, and showed it to us, and we really loved it, and it really went with what our whole thing is about. So yeah, we did our take on it and changed a couple things, and then it just became Stare.
And it's done very well. In fact, as I mentioned, as we open up our interview tonight, it last week was on the Foundation's secondary market top 40. I think it was like around 37 or that, and I'm not sure the new charts have come out yet today, but that's got to be a great feeling to have a song that's already in the top 40.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. I'm just extremely grateful for everything that's happened up until this point, and in the future as well.
What about touring and stuff? Do you guys get a chance to get out and do much of that? Do you stay mostly down in your area, or do you get out across the entire country to do that?
Yes, actually we have gone on a couple of tours. Right now we have a big festival over here near us, actually this Saturday, November 9th, at Gulfstream Park. That's going to be a really good one. After that, we don't have anything currently booked, but there's been talk about doing a tour with another duo, so we'll see. Can't say anything yet, but yeah, there's been talk about it.
That's always that hush-hush thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Gotta do it. It's okay. Nothing like that. So you would like to tour in 2020 then, is what you're saying?
Oh, yeah. I think we'll be spending a lot of time on the road.
What's the future for Modern Mimes? Obviously you mentioned touring in that. How about other music or maybe a new album, or what? I guess are you going to work on this current album and try to get more of that out there? What I guess are the plans, for Modern Mimes moving forward in 2020?
So we're actually working on the next album. So we got quite a few songs that are in the works, and as soon as we wrap up this next show, it's going to be all studio, I think, for a few months. Really going to get in there and start, solidifying these songs.
And I got to ask, I'm going to ask it because I'm sure everybody asks the name Modern Mimes, but where did it all come from? Why did you guys choose that name? And it's kind of ironic because last year my wife and I went out as mimes on Halloween. We loved it. But what's the reason for the reason you guys came up with the name Modern Mimes?
It's funny. It kind of started in a similar fashion. Because there was a kind of a memory of when I was younger, and I chose to be a mime for Halloween one year. And besides the popular other choices, like I remember like the Pink Power Ranger was like extremely popular at the time, and for some reason I really gravitated to this mime costume, and it was very much in character. And then I just got to thinking how it kind of explains kind of what we're about in a sense. We have a lot to say, and we don't necessarily want to say it, flat out in your face. We kind of want people to think for themselves and kind of figure out their own meaning through the music.
Nice. And, I should ask, too, when you are playing live in that, what's it like going to a Modern Mimes show?
So going to a Modern Mimes show definitely is high energy. It's definitely a high energy show, and could be a little creepy sometimes. Like, make a lot of weird faces.
Is that you, or is that Ernesto that makes the weird faces?
Ernesto makes some weird faces too, but I think I might top him in that category for sure.
I got you. Well, he can't defend himself here, so I guess you got to go that way, right? That's okay. Hey, if more people want information about Modern Mimes, I'm assuming they can go to the social media sites, but do you want to let us know what those are?
Sure. You can check us out at modernmimes.com, and through there you can get all of our links to Instagram at Modern Mimes, as well as Facebook. We're on often. We really try and stay in touch with all our fans and answer as many messages as we can.
It's been a lot of fun get a chance to find out more about the band Modern Mimes, get to know you a little bit more, and hopefully maybe you'll make a stop up here in Minnesota in 2020. We'd love to see you here.
Absolutely. We'd love to stop by.
And we're more than welcome to have you come on by and play a few songs, and for that matter, even a show here in Little Falls in 2020. Thanks so much for joining me. We're going to play your latest song right now, Stare, okay?
All right, sounds great. Thank you so much.
Once again, that is Adi. She's one of the two members of the band Modern Mimes. Their latest song is called Stare. You're hearing it right now. It's on The Dark. It's on FM94.